Business Awards 2019, the WHUC Awards 2019, the Emerald 100 Awards 2019, and Hajj People Awards 2019. To be honest, I think I'm going to stop there because the career that he has created and spanned, he's come from such a humble background and such a powerful delivery of change in the world. His vision, you're going to align with it immediately, the Inspired Tribe, as you're listening. It's all of humility, about connecting with people, changing the world, leaving a footprint here, assisting a little bit. I mean, they were talking as his team, were discussing, creating influence on culture to allow individuals to be, powerfully received within themselves and igniting them. He kind of started his career way back in 2007. So it's such a short career in essence, but you're going to hear a lot about this in the future. He was working with Islam Channel. He delivered the Model Mosque show, which was received really, really well by mainstream media. With BBC One, The Guardian, Channel 4, Arte, Reuters, and ABC News Australia. It's such a positive impact on the world. They re-delivered the valuation of what we classify as Islam and Muslims as a whole on the world. So I'm not going to talk over him for any longer because his vision is truly, truly inspiring to become the organization or a company or a production company that produces faith in equality, in showing individuals. Abrar, I just want to welcome you straight in this evening. Welcome, Abrar.
Thank you so much, Sukhi. It's really a huge pleasure to be here.
Honestly, when the time we got to speak together, the time we spent together in talking of a few things, it truly is an inspiring conversation every single time you open your mouth when you talk about stuff that you've been up to.
Oh, thank you so much. You've probably built me up a bit too much now.
Don't worry, we'll get you there. Everybody's here, they're all good. So, bring it a bit closer. Yes. So, just to give you an example, if anybody would like to get involved, because obviously this has had a lot of PR and structure, if you'd like to get involved, you know the drill. But I'll go through it again with yourself. It's salamradio.co.uk. And that's basically, you just go tune in straight in online. You don't have to do anything. It'll be playing live. So you don't have to find FM or anything of that nature. If you're local to us, it's 106.2 FM. And if you're wanting to text in and communicate with us, it's WhatsApp. Text straight in on 07745 278 978. There's also a connection live. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube live on Salam Radio. Just search for Salam Radio and the Empower Hour show and you'll come up with one today. Honestly, team, it's going to be such a great journey. Abrar, listening to the list of the accolades and the type of individuals and organizations you've worked with Prime, you've worked with Amazon and all those teams, BBC, the best of the best in this world. It's truly great to have you here as an inspiration for the next generation.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really, as I say, just an honor to be here and speak to the Salam Channel listeners.
Yeah. We get straight to the point because we really have had a good long conversation and we've connected on an emotional and spiritual level as well. So if I could just ask a few things just so that everybody understands, your mission in life is to prove that actually it's not all plain sailing and it's not all just easy, getting yourself from A to B and becoming a successful environment. There's been journeys with yourself. I mean, just to touch base, just so we can get some background on yourself. How are you? Have you got other siblings yourself?
I have. I'm actually. We're from a tight knit family, Pakistani Muslim family. My parents came to the UK in the early 70s. We're a family of four siblings, two older sisters and one younger brother. I'm right in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
So you're sandwiched.
I'm sandwiched. Yeah.
And so you yourself, you're from Pakistan as well. And in specific, where from?
I was born in Rawalpindi in Pakistan. And I spent the first 3 months of my life in Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
Before, I came to the UK when I was about 3 months old.
That's really, really cool. So then in UK, where would you be residing?
In the UK, my family was based in different places first from my dad's history that I've spoken to my dad extensively, about where he used to live. And he started off in Bradford. He was in Bradford and he shifted to London for work. And then from London, by the time I came along, he'd actually shifted to Maidstone in Kent, which, Maidstone. It's the county town of Kent, actually. So it was about an hour out of London. But obviously he shifted there for work and that's where I grew up and went to my formative years in school from 5 till about the ages of 18. I was in Maidstone.
Right. And was the community as it is now? It's quite a diverse community, but how was your growing up?
Yeah, I look back on my childhood with such fondness. My house was an amazing house for many reasons. There was a lot going on in my house, a lot of people coming in and out of my house. The door of my house was always open. It was like that. I think it was more like that back in the early times. People's doors would be open. People would just visit all the time. We were actually unique because, Maidstone is a very, at that time, at least when I was growing up, Maidstone was a very completely almost white area. There was hardly any coloured or Asian families there. We were one of the few families there. And in fact, when I went to school, I actually went to a school that was called Maidstone Grammar School at 11. And at 11 years old, I landed in this school, and I was so surprised because I was literally the only person, not just the only Asian person, but the only person of any colour in this school. Yeah, I was the only person who was not white in this school of 600 students. So, it's a double-edged sword. You can go into that situation and you can be, really go into your shell, like, I'm different from it. But for me, it was really, it was amazing because I was the only Asian person there, and I did stand out a mile, and I used that to my advantage to, just to fully express myself during my childhood. So it was a wonderful childhood.
So that's a really wonderful conversation there. You said that you used it to your advantage to express. I mean, there are scenarios when individuals are maybe the only child of colour or something of that sort of nature. And by the way, this is not about the racial discrimination in context, but they tend to close up as opposed to yourself, where you flowered.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind you thinking that you kind of prospered and evolved?
I mean,
there are young children listening as well. So.
You know what it is when you're young and you're just doing things. You're not thinking about things. You're just doing it. You're in the moment. So But in later years, I reflected back on my childhood, and I just think what it was. I was such a inquisitive child. I was always such an open child, and I really wanted to. Even now, I'm the same. I just want to meet a lot of different people. I love to meet different people. So I think even being thrust into that situation when I was very young, it was just taking it in my stride. It was just, I was blessed. I was good at sports, so that helps.
Well, that can help.
That helps. Yeah. I mean, I know that it was only a thin line between being someone at that school in that situation who would have turned into someone just a very introverted person. But I was just blessed from God for my personality, for a strong personality and a personality that can say what I want even in opposing situations. Some people would clam up in that situation, but I've always been someone who's outspoken, who gives my point of view, who expresses himself, and so teachers responded to that, and other students responded to that as well. People like what's different.
Yes.
Sometimes,
sometimes,
people, it really
agree.
works in your favor sometimes. So you have to use these things to your advantages and turn them into positives, whatever they are.
And that's a brilliant way of seeing it, because we've had individuals here who have called in and texted as well, who have had that kind of challenge. But sometimes there's more time today to think about what I am or not. You just said you were just being. You're just like you're just being a kid in the moment, right? Yeah. Because sometimes we can overcomplicate things.
Absolutely.
In life. So that's wonderful. So you were pretty good at sports. And when did you find out that you had this creative ability? Was it later? Or was it earlier?
It's really nice actually, because it kind of ties into the situation in my house. As I was saying to you, my house was very open, and we were living in a very white area, none kind of Asian black area. There was no mosque in my town. In Maidstone at that time, there was no mosque. So what my dad does as a typical, Pakistani uncle kind of around different cities, maybe here in Peterborough as well, is basically open his house and call it a mosque. So our house, where we were growing up, where the family was living, was basically opened up because there was no mosque. And what started was the children started coming, because that was the most important thing, is the children. To get the children to start learning Arabic and Quran within the house. So 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the imam used to come. We used to bring him. My dad used to drive 20 miles to the next town, bring him and drive 20 miles back. He'd have his 3-hour session with the kids and then drive him 20 miles. Yeah, exactly. And we did this for about 6 months.
What a beautiful gift back to society.
It really was beautiful. Yeah, I have to rate my father for that, for doing that. The community needed it. There was nothing. There was no structure. There was no mosque. There was no organization. Nowhere for us to pray and nothing like that. So he facilitated these things. And the best times were Ramadan. Now, if you know Ramadan, obviously there's Tarawih at night. It's the evening prayer, the Tarawih. So my dad opened up our house for Tarawih as well. So every day you can imagine. No. Yeah. So I'd come back from this school that we're talking about, this almost exclusively white school, and dealing with this white subculture and making friends and doing all those kind of things, to coming home and this completely Islamic environment. At least between 40 and 50 people in our house every day for the 30 days of Ramadan. 40 or 50 people would come in, they would pray, and that was a long prayer. It'd take about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So every evening was that, and that was the childhood. Now, how does this relate to my my filmmaking career. Well, so what happened at 10 years old,
Yep.
I was gifted a camcorder. And it was my first camcorder, and I loved that camcorder. I mean, that camcorder became an extension of my hand.
My hand. I was going to say.
I was just with that camcorder. You wouldn't see me without that camcorder. And so, because we had so many things going on in the house, I started filming whatever was going on. So my dad, would sometimes organize these events. He'd call an imam or something from a different area to come and give a speech or give a lecture or something. And I would film these things, and lots of people would come because it was the only thing in that whole area. I mean,
and you became, in essence, the resident
videographer, I guess.
Already,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I was filming these things, and it wasn't just the religious things that I was filming. Although it started with that, but I was also filming our birthday parties. I remember distinctly at 10 years old. My brother is 7 years younger than me. He had his third birthday party, and I filmed that in its entirety. And the funny thing is, we looked back on the shots that I'd filmed when I was 10 years old, and I'm looking at these shots thinking, wow, there was a natural talent there, alhamdulillah, because some of those shots look really good. And I'm like, and this is before I knew what a cameraman was, what a director was, what a producer was. I didn't know any of this stuff. I just loved the camera. Yeah, I just loved the camera.
So do you find, when looking back at this is quite funny to hear, but it's an amazement within itself as well. Do you find sometimes when you see some of these, well, when you did look at those videos, that you're repeating some of those shot angles?
I'll tell you the funniest thing. Yeah, the funniest thing. We have something. It's called a two-shot, and a two-shot is when you have two people filling the frame perfectly in a video in a camera shot.
Okay.
I was doing that at 10 years old, and I didn't even know what a two-shot was, but I was framing it perfectly. So wherever else, I know that I have natural ability in framing a shot. I can see a good shot. I know I have that naturally, alhamdulillah.
And it's very clear that in essence we're God believing, and for anybody who's listening, who's listening across the waters, because we go everywhere, and we respect the fact that. This is represented, God is represented within spirituality, within ether, within all thoughts of life and walks as well. So it's a very, very warm way. So it was a gifted journey, wasn't it, in essence?
It really, really was. I mean, like I say, kids were playing with cars and bikes, but I was playing with my camera. And for me, it was the most exciting and best toy in the world. And, I was that inquisitive kid. I was just working out all the buttons, like reading the instruction manual. Okay, what is this? There's a button here called white balance. Like, what's this? That? What does it do? Yeah. And I just wanted to know everything, and I just soaked that camera up. And as I got older and just moved on to more kind of complex camera systems, it was just all very natural, very intuitive. It was just a natural thing for me to move on to bigger and bigger systems until I'm working with the most the best camera systems on the market. Yeah.
On the market. So the question I was going to say to you is, did you was it the Sony era?
It was,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
the Sony
it was a Sony camera.
Yeah,
it was a Sony camera.
That's right. So we can hark back way back to the 80s.
Yeah. I still have it. I still have it. Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, it still works.
And it still functions.
They don't make them like they used to anymore. That camera is almost, it must be like 20, 25 years old, and that camera still works. You power it, it will still turn on, it will still record.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing bit of craftsmanship.
That's true engineering, isn't it? Electronic engineering. So, I'd love to talk a bit more about this, but the time passes so quickly, and the audience is gearing to listen to this stuff. And you're also very much. I'm going to move into your film career in a minute, but I'm just going to touch base. I mean, you're actually the founder and a group of yourself. I think there's a few individuals who are very close to yourself, and you might mention some names, who are involved in the One Day in the Haram, which was a world acclaimed and still is a world acclaimed video of yours. Yes. So the journey that was there. I mean, when you came to Peterborough, I think, if I remember, little old Peterborough. You came a few years back, right? A couple of years ago.
I've been to Peterborough a few times, yeah.
And it was you were launched at the masjid over here in Peterborough, and then it was a screening.
Yeah.
So how was that sort of like molded? How's it been received across the globe? Because this is quite an amazing achievement.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing, and it's not just amazing to us or the viewers in the UK or around the world who are watching that film. The funniest thing is, it's actually amazing to the people in the Haram as well.
Really?
Yeah, because one of the funniest stories, because it's all about access. The reason our film is amazing, alhamdulillah, is not just because it looks amazing or the story is amazing. Those things need to be there, but it was amazing because it was the first time in history that the Saudi government had allowed a film crew to come into the Haram and film whatever they want. As in no restrictions, nothing closed, everything open. It was the first time in history for that to happen. So, alhamdulillah, we just truly blessed that opportunity fell on me. I don't know why it fell on me. It's one of the
chosen, right?
It's one of the questions that you ask yourself every day. One Day in the Haram is a film without doubt that has changed my life. It has literally changed my life. So I'm eternally grateful for that opportunity, and I ask myself every day, what did God want from giving me this opportunity? Why did he give it to me? And I ask myself that every day. What was the meaning? What was the maqsad of it? And I always try to live my life and every day of my life as according to that. What did he want? What did he want from me? And where did he want me to go on? So, that's the first thing. But a funny story, when we were in the Haram, like I say, we were in there with everything. Our crew there was about 20 people altogether, plus around 10 people from Riyasa Haramain, which is the media department of the Haram. So it's altogether 30 people.
Department,
yeah, 30 people moving in a unit through the Haram, and we had some big equipment there because they gave me an open slate, hire whichever equipment you want. So I'd hired these huge lenses, these Fujinon zoom lenses. I hired Arri Alexa cameras. I hired drones, dollies, jibs, all this equipment, huge equipment. And when we're going through the Haram and we're setting up somewhere, and I'm speaking to some department head, the head of human affairs or whatever at the Haram, and he's watching all this crew come in and all these cameras, and he'll basically turn around to me and say, how did you get the permission for this?
Yes.
So even these people who worked in the Haram could not believe that we'd been granted the permission to do what we were doing. It was truly historical.
Yeah, and there's the historical and also the evidence that this was a divine intervention of some kind. Yeah. We clearly know this, yes?
I believe that firmly. Everyone has their own distinct... But for me, if I ask myself, Abrar Hussain, could I go to Saudi Arabia and convince a foreign government to allow me to come in and make a feature-length film that I'm then going to show on cinemas all around the world? I don't think I'm capable of it. I can't justify it to myself. I can't show that I'm actually that talented a producer that I could do that. No, it's completely obvious that this was something that came from God. That this was something that I was specifically selected to do this work in that place at that time, and that was my function, and that's what I was there for. And it's very, I don't know, many people may have been to Makkah, may not have been to Makkah. One thing you need to understand about Makkah, the sense that God has preordinated everything, that everything has been preordained, is very, very strong in Makkah. More stronger than anywhere else I've been, and I've been everywhere in the world. It is so strong there, it's impossible not to feel it, and it's impossible not to think whatever is happening through the will of God.
Yeah. And for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
Just on there, that's a very, very beautiful statement you just made there, but I just want to touch on a little bit if I can. Just for the non-Islamic and non-Muslim individuals, please give a bit more explanation around the Haram.
Okay. Yeah, the Haram is in Makkah in Saudi Arabia. The Haram is the single most important place for Muslims in the world. It's the single most important, majestic place for Muslims in the world, and it's the birthplace of Islam. It's where Islam started from. Mm-hmm. It's where our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born, and where he founded this religion, and where he started to grow this religion. And obviously, as everyone knows, this religion then spread all over the world, in all different parts of the world. So Makkah is forever beloved in the hearts of the people. Mm-hmm. The Haram is a beloved place, and people should know that for Muslim, the one important thing about the Haram is that it's actually a duty as part of the religion to go and visit the Haram at least once in your lifetime, to do the Hajj. Yeah, the Hajj, once in a lifetime. Yeah.
Thank you very much for explaining that. So if I can go back onto the context of the filming and the videoing and stuff, come on, honestly, how did it happen?
Subhanallah. With great difficulty is the short answer. Let me tell you, because people think, when I say statements like this was ordained by God, I believe that firmly with every ounce of my being. That doesn't mean we didn't work very hard as well. Yeah, no.
God helps he who helps himself. Right?
God helps he who helps himself. This is a concept that runs across all religions. You have to try and help yourself. I had a very good intention to do something beautiful for Makkah, to do something beautiful for the Muslims around the world, and something they could be proud of. And we went to so many different government bodies, so many different ministries. For 8 months we were knocking on doors. For 8 months.
From England? Yes.
No, I was in Saudi. I moved to Saudi. I lived in Saudi for 3 years to make this film. It was a huge commitment from my part. I left my family. I left everything that I knew.
That's and went dedication.
To this. Yeah, it's dedication.
But relentlessness.
The thing is, it was such a unique experience because it didn't feel like it was 8 months. 8 months. Now that period took 8 months to get the permissions until we finally got the okay, you can shoot. Okay, from the first month to the 8th month, the period in between was amazing for me. Why? I was in Makkah. I was praying in Makkah all the day. And the funny thing is, someone asked me in a Q&A the other day, they said, "Oh, you must have prayed for the success of the film." I said, "No, I never prayed for the success. I prayed the prayer I did in the Haram most days in during that 8 months was that Ya Allah, as in, oh God,
yes.
If this film is going to be something beneficial for the world, not just for Muslims, for the world, if it's going to be something beneficial and it's going to be something good, then let me have it. And if it's not, please keep it away from me. Yeah. And that was it. And I was content with that. Yeah, I was completely content with that. I wasn't under pressure. I wasn't stressing. I wasn't, oh man, I wonder if they're going to say yes. It was nothing like that. I was just completely relaxed. I was like, well, you're not the judge of me. You're not the guy who's going to give me the permissions. You might think you are, but actually this is ordained by a higher power than you. So I'm calm. Let's see what he decides, you know? And I was just calm through that 8 months. When the permissions did come, and also doubling up on that, 8 months gave me an incredible amount of time to prepare. So I used that time to fix my shot list, to get my crew together, to get the equipment list that I wanted. You know, multiple things, site visits all the time, different departments. I visited practically every department in the Harem, and the Harem has 70 different departments. You know, to ascertain, which ones would be suitable for the film or which ones would come across best on film. You know, so it gave me a tremendously long, extended pre-production period to decide all these factors. So by the time we went into shoot, I had nailed every single element of that film down to the minute.
So I was going to say, it's like as you had the script.
I had a blueprint,
the divine script as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but what I want to really touch on is, obviously, of course, one day in the Haram. By the way, we've only got 3 minutes left of session 1. Would you believe?
That's gone quick.
Of course, it always does. I'm telling you. Of course, it's been beautifully and immaculately received by Muslims around the world. Yeah. But it had an equal impact. I mean, it's been put on Amazon Prime, and it was originally designed for big cinema. Yeah. And please enlighten what happened there. I mean, when it's been received by other non-Muslims as well.
Yeah, certainly by non. I mean, the first thing is, you know, the plan was from the start was to put this thing on cinemas all around the world. That was the plan, because I felt this is something that is important enough to warrant it going on cinemas. So I knew I had to shoot it in a way that would be suitable for big screen. That's why if you watch One Day in the Haram, you'll see it's full of beautiful symmetrical shots that just look amazing on the big screen. Wow. It's full of big wides, you know, the helicopter shots, the drone shots, really wide shots. And I deliberately did that because I knew these shots are going to look stunning when an audience sees these on the cinema screen. And you know, and for the non-Muslims you mentioned, I'm so happy with the Amazon Prime deal. I'm happy for it because non-Muslims are getting to experience the Haram, a place, remember, where they are forbidden to go. They cannot go there. They cannot visit this place. They cannot see this place. So to bring it out to them in a film, to show them here, this is something that is part of the beauty of Islam. This is something, you know, forget what you're seeing in the news, the newspapers, and what you're reading, you know. Here's the real essence of Islam, you know, from the source of Islam, where it started from. And here's the thing, and non-Muslims, even hardened atheists, cannot but say, okay, we don't agree with it, but it is beautiful. They cannot, and that was, you know, that was very, very pleasing to me. And to be honest, the feedback from non-Muslims who've seen the film has been tremendous. In some screenings, we get more non-Muslims than others. I always try and welcome the non-Muslims, especially because I'm very, very grateful for their coming and seeing the film. In the Bay, which is obviously, as you know, so multicultural.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, the audience there, we have 3 screenings in the Bay. They're all sold out, and at least 50% of the audience in each of those screenings was non-Muslim. So it's a really mix, you know.
That's a powerful
mix. I mean, to have 50% non-Muslims in there is just amazing, you know, and they did an amazing job of marketing. Our partners in Dubai did an amazing job of marketing it there, and to get that non-Muslim crowd as well as the Muslim crowd in there. But yeah, blessings upon blessings.
You know, I'm not joking. I want to talk another half an hour just on this one movie, but we've got so many other movies to talk about as well, and plus also your journey so far. We've got 30 seconds left. If anybody's just tuned in, this is The Empower with Abrar Hussain, who is the founder and the creator behind, and the brain, you know, the missionary behind the vision that he's running through. He has a vision of being able to, wanting to touch all faiths and write and deliver the documentaries for the world. So please do tune back in. We're going to be back in 4 minutes exactly. This is the Salam radio show. Please do tune straight back in to listen to the rest of the show.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Almarad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH, or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Almarad Tiles, now open.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf, with nothing to pay up front. We provide services such as credit hire, taxi vehicles, recovery, storage and much more. For full details on our range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident Specialists. Start your successful claim today.
There's a million choices available for dining out in Leeds.
But if you want something special, there's only one name to remember.
Mumtaz Leeds.
Relax in our newly refurbished Riverside restaurant.
Enjoy exquisite home cooking from our brand new menu. Upgrade to the Mumtaz Leeds experience.
And the price? Well, we're better value than ever before.
Mumtaz Leeds, Chadwick Street, Leeds, LS10 1PJ. Call 0113 242 4211.
Free car parking available.
अगर मूड हो मुस्तनद और मायारी देसी खाने का तो आजमाएं लिंकन रोड पर देसी रेस्टोरेंट। दिन का आगाज देसी नाश्ते के साथ हलवा पूरी, चने, निहारी, पाए, पराठा और आमलेट। हर रोज सुबह 7 बजे से दिन 1 बजे तक। एक मजेदार और स्वादिष्ट लंच के लिए कबाब, सैंडविच, तंदूरी डिशेस, बल्ती डिशेस, बिरयानी और बहुत कुछ। दिन 1 बजे से शाम 5 बजे तक हमारी खास डिशेस, देसी तवा या हमारी ताज़ा हांडी, 1 kg बेबी चिकन, लैम्प का गोश्त हड्डी के साथ। ऑर्डर पर तैयार कराएं। ईट इनसाइड, टेक वे के लिए फ्री डिलीवरी। पूरा मेन्यू देखने के लिए और ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर करने के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे जाएं desirestaurant.co.uk। 60 नशिस्तों की गुंजाइश के साथ और एक प्राइवेट फंक्शन रूम, कैटरिंग सर्विस भी दस्तयाब। डोंट फॉरगेट देसी रेस्टोरेंट, 298 लिंकन रोड, पीटरब्रो, PE1 2ND। कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर 555795।
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio, broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Welcome back, everybody, for part 2 of the Empower Hour with myself, your host, Sukhi Wahiwala. We have our truly tremendous guest this evening. His name is Abrar Hussain, who is the founder of Red Face Productions. Now, we have already touched on a few things with reference to one day in the Haram. Abrar, I'd just like to invite you back on.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here.
Yes, I tell you what, it's been really exciting to listen to all the stuff that you went up with. Well, we were touching just a little bit of how problematic it was to get the videos and the camera scenes and stuff like that done then, and how you kind of literally just left it to fate and said, look, I'm here. If I'm supposed to be here, I'm going to be tested on my inner strength as well, and maybe this is your choice as well, you know, the universe. What one thing did you want the audience to ensure that they took away from the movie, which has been promoted by Amazon Prime? So you can just Google it straight away and go to Amazon Prime and check. It's called The One Day in the Haram. That's HARAM. What did you want the audience to view from there? And it's an internal question. We've not preempted this.
Yeah.
What did you want them to see?
I mean, you know, many things. I wanted many things to come across to the audience, but I think if I was narrowing it down to, you know, what the most important thing is, like I said, the most important thing for me was just to show a beautiful side of this religion, to show the beautiful nature of Islam. As I say, so important because it was from the source of Islam, and this is more than anything what I wanted people to see. And just one other thing, people have to understand in the context of the Haram that it's every Muslim's duty to visit that place. Now,
yes,
we're in the West, we live in the UK. In the UK, I know people who've been to the Haram 9, 10, 12 times. They keep going because they've got the money to go and they can. Yeah. But there's people in other parts of Africa. There's so many millions of Muslims living in areas around the world where they cannot get to the Haram. So my other main objective was for those people to give them a glimpse into the Haram where they could almost feel like they were there. So if they couldn't facilitate going there, they can't afford to go there, maybe they just haven't been called there yet, you know, it would be the second best thing for them. And that was very important to me because I was very conscious of all the people who desired, in their hearts, desired to visit this place but couldn't for some reason or other. And the film is really a testament for them.
Well, God bless you on behalf of all of the individuals who couldn't, and some of us who are classified as non-Muslims, so we couldn't have visited the place that was there
as well.
That's a really humble way of wanting to see and understand the value you could bring with this video and film. That hasn't been the only success. We're going to go forward in that, but it wasn't always like this, was it?
No.
So you've had lots of struggles upping, growing this amazing.
I'll tell you straight, Sukhi. Anyone who wants to be a filmmaker, who wants to be a producer, who wants to be a director, not of YouTube shows or something small format, but even though that's difficult, but anyone who wants to make things for cinema, wants to make films that are feature length, they're in for a very hard time because no one's letting you into this industry for free. No one's letting you in unless they're forced to let you in. And that's especially true of those producers who are like me, who are Muslim producers. You know, one of the biggest difficulties, and anyone who's creative, not just in filmmaking, but anyone who's a creative will understand this. You see, when we're operating within a boundary that is called Islam. You see in Islam, see in the mainstream TV, when there's someone at Channel 4, he's a creative and he says, I want to come up with a new show idea. You know, sky's the limit. You can bring whatever sex sells. They can bring sex in there. They can bring violence in there. They can bring, whatever elements of the world they want in there. We can't do that. We have a barrier. We have a boundary that we have to operate within that boundary. So
parameter.
So for me, Muslim creatives, especially I think Islamic creatives, are even more creative than the guys in the mainstream, because the guys in the mainstream they have no restrictions. We have restrictions, and we have to be creative and entertaining and funny and everything else within those boundaries. And that's how we live and that's how we operate. So that's one of the hardest things. So many times I've been offered projects that are mainstream projects that you can't take them on principle, so that does become a little bit difficult. It's one of the more difficult elements to deal with. But I would say anyone who wants to get in this and thinks it's easy, it's not. People think I just arrived with One Day in the Haram. I didn't.
I was going to say, that's the purpose, because I know how hard
I was grinding in this industry for years. Years, for 10 years before One Day. Let me tell you a very interesting story.
Please do.
2007, Model Mosque. Yes. I made this show Model Mosque. Right, I made it with zero budget in the UK. I went around different mosques and we made this reality TV show where mosques would compete with each other in terms of the services they offer to the community. Very well received show, BBC were reporting, it was on Newsnight. It was even raised in the House of Commons. An MP raised Model Mosque in the House of Commons. That's how important this initiative was. When I did that show, I actually thought, this is like great. There's all this mainstream success and lots of people are saying nice things about the show. It's a kind of an end in itself. Now, remember, that was a show about mosques in the UK. Now, fast forward 10 years, 2017, I'm in the Haram, making a feature-length film on the biggest mosque of all. And that's when I clocked that actually it's just part of my journey. Making Model Mosque was just a training for me. It was God provided a training for me, preparing me for the job that he would give me in 10 years' time. Yeah, so this is how I see things. It's all part of one journey. It keeps carrying on, and I'm just, grateful for the journey that I've been granted, and I'm hopeful for the future steps in the journey that are yet to come in the next few years.
Very exciting future, yes. But your words are very full of wisdom, and I suppose in some context, beyond one's age. Now, I have a little philosophy that age, I'm using that in the caption before, quote in and quote out. But age really hasn't got a variable on experience, because it's a matter of whether you're switched on, connected. When did you feel, because you're very spiritual and you really are connected to Islam in a strong way, in an ikhlaq, as we call it, so it's very, very clear, including in your evidence of sharing and stuff. So hopefully who's listening, you'd understand this. What happened? Usually this is a significant action or a significant experience happens in one's life. It's usually connected to a challenge of some kind. So we remember God in our challenge, right? What switched you on? I'm sharing this with the young kids as well. So they can
I mean, you know, I became a producer in 2007. In 2007, I was the elected treasurer of my local mosque. I was the treasurer of my local mosque, and you know, I was involved in these mosques, and I was visiting other mosques, and I was noticing such a disparity in the services provided, in the standards of the mosques, and that was what gave me the initial spark for the first show that I ever made, that was actually paid, that was actually broadcasted.
Wow.
Because you know, and at that time, I have to also mention Brother Muhammad Ali at Islam Channel. Because when I had the concept for that show, and I went to different organizations, I'm not going to name them now, but I went to different organizations, said, hey, I've got this show, I want to produce this show, and it's all about mosques in the UK, and we're going to make them very transparent and open. This is 2007, when the media every day, every single day, was trying to attack and demonize mosques. So I said, this will be something that combats this, and, you know, the press will pick up on this, and, you know, the parliament will pick up on this, and I was saying that, and people would literally just laugh, and they say, you know what, you're never going to make this show. This show is not something that is possible for you to make. Yes. Least of all, the mosques will never let you in. They'll never let you in. They'll never trust you to come in and open their doors. But you know what happened? With the support of God, everything that we said, that we discussed, did happen. And I'll say for Muhammad Ali, he is a visionary, because he was the one person out of all those groups that I'd approached who's the one to say, okay, yeah, this has got potential. We'll invest in you for this. We'll invest in you. And so he gave, that's from Islam Channel. Yeah, Muhammad Ali at Islam Channel. So I have to always really credit where credit is due. You know, he was the one person who was willing to take a chance on a young producer who hadn't produced anything. At that point. Goodness, yes. But you know, alhamdulillah, look how things work out. He took that chance on me, and I repaid him by producing the most successful show ever on the Islam Channel, you know. So it was just an amazing partnership. He was an amazing mentor, and you know, I really look back fondly at my time at Islam Channel, and that was really the start of everything. That was the start, and from there, you know, alhamdulillah, it's been a difficult journey, but it's never gone backwards. It's always just gone forwards progressively onto bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, I wanted to be in a position where I could make a film like One Day in the Haram 10 years ago. But I couldn't do it, you know. And even when I went to Saudi Arabia, in 2015. Even in Saudi Arabia, 2015, the budget that we got for One Day in the Haram, I had to leave the UK. I had to go to another country to get that kind of budget to make this kind of film, because in the UK, no one would have actually given me that budget. But alhamdulillah,
it's again, received beautifully.
Beautifully received. And the follow on is that, because it's been so many doors have opened, and not just Islamic doors, mainstream doors as well. You know, now people are, hey, actually, we do believe in you now. Hey, we're willing to give you the budget now. Hey, what else do you want to make? You know, and this is just a very unique position to be in. But I don't want to kid anyone by saying, you know, you can just fall into this position. It was incredibly difficult. As I say, we're grinding out here for under very difficult circumstances for like almost 10 years before that happened. So, you know, it really is a journey and a process and perfecting your craft.
And is it fair to say there is, I mean, this is really for anybody who's having challenges in life, you know, there is always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You know, it may seem really dark at the time. You know, there's an Urdu saying which is "Der hai andher nahi," which means it may take time, but there's no darkness. There is always light. So, did you have something like this inside of yourself, or was it just the fact that you have a very tremendously strong and visionary approach to this? I mean, were there down moments?
I think what pushed me through those years for sure was that the work I was doing, even though it might have been very low budget because no one had budget, it might have been very low paid because no one can afford to pay, it might have been like that, but the thing is, the work itself was very, very important and very, very rewarding. A show like Model Mosque, as I say, that influenced government strategy, that influenced the level of the professionalism of mosques in the UK. You know, it was a real big deciding factor in that. So the show was very, very important. And you know, and other projects I'd done over between that and up to 2015, you know, I traveled out to many different countries, went to many different fields, and difficult to go to countries, not holiday destinations. I went to Darfur when the civil war was going on there. I went to Swat Valley when the Taliban were there. You know, I went to earthquake zones. You know, we went to disaster zones. Yeah, we filmed all these stuff. Now the work was very low paid, but it was such rewarding work. And I think as an individual, it helped me grow so much, because I often say to my nephews and nieces, family around me that are young, I say, you don't know how people live in other parts of the world. And I think
you have to get
the work, you have to go there and visit it, because that makes you international. Once your thinking becomes international, you see someone in a country like Mali, and they're in camps or refugee camps. Like I've been to refugee camps in Lebanon. I've seen how they live. So when I came back, my mentality was completely different. I couldn't understand this, some 16-year-old kid being very upset because he couldn't get the latest Nike Air Jordan. I couldn't understand that the kid who wanted the iPhone 12 and was very upset because he couldn't get the iPhone 12. I said, guys, you need to count your blessings. You need to be grateful for everything, because you don't know how people on the other side are living.
Wow. That's such a tremendous message. This is not about ostracization in any way. It's just that element of understanding another point of view in the world, and really the divine being as well.
Absolutely.
So what a great message, realizing that we as classify ourselves as third world or first world challenges, don't we?
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful thing. We've got a nice little thumbs up there from Michelle there in the other room as well. So a little conversation here, just that, I've spoken to you on a few occasions now, and trust me, it's been a very warming and humbling conversation, without a doubt. Both yourself and I think there's a gentleman called Callum as well, and he's in the studio as well. Callum in the house somewhere, he's hidden somewhere. Yeah. The team is also aligned with this vision and mission, whether they're Islamic, non-Islamic, whatever they've come from, whether they believe in a God, not God, atheist, not atheist. How have you managed to keep this love between people?
It's so funny again, but interfaith has been something that's always been very important to me. In 2008, I produced my first interfaith show, and it was a concept that was amazing. It made so much press and so much noise, but the fact is, I did that 10 years ago, and since then we've always been interested in this. For me, when I look at someone or someone approaches for a job or to be part of the team, I'm not looking. The question is not, are you Muslim or are you not? Are you religious or are you not? That is not the question at all. I'm looking at the essence of the person. I'm looking for people I connect with. And ultimately, Red Face Films. You just mentioned Callum, who's a non-Muslim head of production. He's our head of production at Red Face Films, and it's that connection of ethos. It's that connection of how we work and the aims we want to do. And overall, it's to make things better in the world, not for Muslims or for non-Muslims. It's to make things better for mankind. Humanity, yeah, absolutely. So I look for people on that level, and everyone who's involved in Red Face, from Pat Wintersgill, he's a head of post-production, Saif, who's a wonderful business development guy, has added so much value to the company. All these people that are around me, the team that we've built, I'm honestly blessed to work with these people, and we share off each other. So there's a lot of that, and I love to work with non-Muslims, because I feel this is all part of building bridges and increasing the good for everyone. Brilliant. So yeah.
And I just mentioned Rahat as well. Rahat was one of the he's been relentlessly courting me in context of conversation since last year.
Rahat is the brother who actually introduced me to you, and right. That was on the concept of the film we were making in Pakistan. And wonderful, and we have, like Rahat, people who connect. I love people who connect. People who selflessly connect with nothing going. They just think, okay, you've got something good, and this guy, you guys could work together really, really well. And I find that so beautiful. Yeah, I find that really, really humbling.
Well, it's symbiotic, but it's also, we're back to that divinity again, aren't we? Back to people who are supposed to be connected at the same time.
Yeah.
So the thought is that you have a vision with your team and your group to have created. You've managed the one day in the Haram. Your other films, which are documentaries based, which are world-class documentaries. Just if you can talk about a few of them, because I can't believe we're already 45 minutes. We've got 10 minutes left.
You know what happened? As I said, One Day in the Harem, thanks to the blessings and mercy of God, One Day in the Harem was a tremendous success. It was basically one of the most beautiful documentary films you could see, and even, as I say, atheists couldn't deny the beauty in the film. So that
it's still being aired today, and it's still doing very well.
Oh yeah, it's still doing really well. 2 years later,
and we're
still doing screenings and shows. Tours, all over the world.
I last spoke to you. You said I'm going abroad to do the cinema show again.
It's
an evergreen production.
I actually thought it's only going to last a year, and I keep waiting for this bubble to burst, but it just doesn't seem. And people have convinced me now, and I'm convinced myself that One Day in the Haram is a film that is going to be around for many, many years. Because it's just such a benchmark for Islamic film production. It's such a benchmark for Islamic entertainment in a way. It's just going to be there for the next 10 or 15 years, and I'm incredibly, incredibly humbled by that, and very, very grateful. When we finished One Day in the Haram, because it was so successful globally, it opened so many doors, and as I said, lots of opportunities came. Now we had some very lucrative opportunities come. Very lucrative opportunity. Easy wins, quick wins. I knew I could have gone. For example, we had a project in Medina, which is the second holy city of Islam. We had a project to go there, but there was another project, and it was in Jerusalem, and it was based around the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, anyone who knows Jerusalem, you don't need to know too much to know it's just an occupied territory. There's a lot of conflict there at times. There's a lot of tension there at all times, and it's a very difficult place to go, basically. But we decided to go there. So we turned down several really lucrative opportunities where we could have just gone there and cashed in. I think this is also something that is characteristic of my career at different moments, is that we've made very hard choices. We've never gone for the easy choice. We've never said, oh, well, this thing's easier to do, so let's do that.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, We've gone for the hardest thing to do. I thought the Makkah production was hard, but the Al-Aqsa production was completely on a different level because there were so many other factors involved in going to a place like Jerusalem. And with all the three monotheistic religions based there, as in the home of Judaism, the home of Christianity, and Islam there as well.
It's in 500 square meters. It's
such a unique and amazing place. To go there and make a feature-length film we made the feature-length film on Masjid Al-Aqsa. It was released in August of 2019, so it's been out for about 4 months now. And mashallah, it's doing just tremendously well. It's in several countries at the moment. It's negotiated to be in so many more countries as well. But a huge tour going on right now, one night in Al-Aqsa in Canada, soon to be premieres in Australia, South Africa, the USA. It's being received so well. And the great thing about it, it's not just focused on Islam. It is focused on, here is Islam, and here's Islam's relationship to Judaism, and here's its relationship with the Christianity, because their holy places are there in that within, as you say, a very small space. So it's very, very unique, very challenging to make that film. Not an easy choice to make that film, full of tension, full of stress. But when we came out on the other end, the feeling was just beautiful.
It was divine again.
It was just absolutely amazing, and I know that we made the right choice in doing that.
If anybody
film
wants to watch, let's say, One Night in Al-Aqsa, how would they be able to get hold of that?
Well, One Night in Al-Aqsa is currently touring the UK. We actually just finished a 30-city tour of the UK. There's going to be more tours coming, so it'll be on more cinema screens around the UK for these next few months before, and eventually, and there's other tours going on in different parts of the world. So at the moment, because I really want people to see it in cinema settings, and the reason for that is because I want them to have the immersive experience, with the surround sound, with the darkened theatre, with the comfortable seats, and just looking up and be immersed in the film. That's what I want, and also to see it collectively, so people will see it in groups together. This always I find very, very rewarding. But once we're done with that, once we're done with all the touring and the premieres and different, then what will happen is we'll put it, obviously it will go to one of the streaming platforms. We'll put it on Amazon Prime or something like that, so everyone can have access. But we'll also start doing the broadcast deals. So nature, one of the successes of One Day in the Haram and the pattern that I'm following for One Night in Al-Aqsa. So One Day in the Haram was broadcast on national TV in countries like Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. And when you're broadcast by national channels, then the audience in Indonesia was 10 million in one day.
Oh my
so one screening, we gained 10 million audience. So these are the numbers that we want to hit. So the broadcast deals are actually very important to me in terms of numbers, in terms of getting out to a mass amount of population. But the cinema screenings are my love. I love
it's
the cinema
screenings. And that's an unbelievable amount of people.
You can't even imagine it. No. You can't imagine what 10 million looks like.
No. Yeah. So when people want to watch your other movies, which are there, obviously the first one, which is One Day in the Haram, which is actually on Amazon Prime, but One Night in Al-Aqsa, they would have to. Is there any way they can Google to see where they are? Where it's been
absolutely, yeah. I mean, we update our Facebook page. One Night in Al-Aqsa has its own Facebook page and Instagram page. We update wherever the screenings are going on there. We get people from different parts of the world basically saying, "Can you come to our country and do a screening here?" So I listen out for announcements. But definitely in the UK, there'll be other tours coming up later this year.
I just want to add in very quickly, because I can't believe we've got 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Nice.
How quick was that? But somebody was texting in just a minute, and this is a very nice one. This is a sister, basically a young lady, basically saying, "Hi Sukhi and salams Abrar. Your story is inspiring." I just wanted to hear this as well. I've really enjoyed listening. I've worked in the creative industry and myself, and really do support it when you mention the fact that how difficult it is to get into the industry. I am struggling currently myself, but words of advice would you give to tackle this?
Yeah, I mean, You know, as we mentioned, we touched upon earlier, you know, I really relate to all that, especially the Muslim creatives, the Islamic creatives, because like I say, we have those boundaries, and whatever happens, we're not going to step out of those boundaries, but we have to be so innovative to create something entertaining within the confines that we're given, you know. So for me, Muslim creatives are at the top of the tree as far as I'm concerned, because I know that if those barriers weren't there, they would just, you know, be able to come out of amazing concepts. I think, you know, the key is just to maintain your belief in yourself, like really just maintain your belief in yourself. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying. I'm fortunate, you know, I'm kind of a very strong-willed personality, so even if opposition, you know, did come, criticism came, you know, a lot of people have opposition, criticism, you know, fear, you know, they try and put these things on you. For me, I'm just like the kind of guy, I'll just brush these things off. You know, I just say, well, you know, God is in control of my destiny. Like, you people are not, no one's affecting me. No one's really affecting my confidence. No one's affecting the way I go. You know, I'd say for people like in this position, just keep going. You know, just definitely keep going. It's wonderful to be. You know, if you make something successful, it's wonderful to be in a creative position because you're utilizing all of your skills. You know, internally and externally. And to type. People say to me, well, you know, it must be really cool being a producer, right? And I always say, look, being a producer, a film producer, is the coolest job in the world as far as I'm concerned. For someone who grew up holding a camera at 10 years, you know, it's the coolest job in the world. But the one thing that's more cool than being an film producer is being an Islamic film producer, because the level of knowledge you're spreading, the level of goodwill you're giving out, and the level of reward you'll get for that is just magnified, you know. So it really is just an amazing profession. I'd seriously encourage the sister just to stay on it, to have belief, make your prayers for God, and leave it at that. Don't worry. These things take time.
Wonderful answer. And if I could just add something to that for yourself, I mean, I didn't get your name, so I'm just going to call you the young lady who contacted us, with reference to understanding your deep why. You know, why specifically are you even doing this? Is it some kind of a deep mission? Because I've had lots of conversations with Abrar, and he's very clear on his why. Why is he doing this? So get very, very clear with your why, and don't lose faith and don't lose hope, and keep going with baby steps. When I went up Mount Kilimanjaro way back in 2013, our mentors were just telling us, look, just concentrate on there, keep an eye on the top, that's where you're going, and just take one step at a time, and just keep focusing on the one step. So have a vision in place, but just take one step at a time, even if it means working for somebody, donating your time, you know, getting clear. So hope that helps you a little bit there as well. So thank you very much for contacting, communicating. It was something really lovely to read out. Now we're running really short on time. This is unbelievable. Time just goes like that. I mean, you speak beautifully fast, and that gets so much more information.
Yeah,
so
I try to slow myself down all the time.
Not really, because in this evening it's about getting more information over to the unit, so everybody else. But when it comes to videography and what we were talking about with reference to the actual documentaries, you've moved from Islamic videoing from one day in the Haram, then you've gone to one night in the Aqsa. You've also got a few other projects running through as well, but in specific, just recently, we've only got like 1 or 2 minutes left, you also have the Corridor of Peace, which is something that you're working on. You were absolutely blessed to be ordered and commissioned by Pakistan government in the recent opening of Kartarpur Corridor.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience, and amazing to work with the Pakistan government, and particularly the governor of Lahore, Mohammed Sarwar, who's just an amazing success story himself, a British success story, and you know, just amazing to be there and work with these people and try to add something of benefit to them. You know, I'm not sure if many people know, but you know that opening of the Kartarpur Corridor a few months ago at the tail end, November 2019. This is singly the most important interfaith initiative that's ever happened in Pakistan. Ever.
I truly agree.
It's a historical moment. So I was so blessed to be part of that, and the scenes we shot there were they were just so full of heart and so full of you know, I was for once, you know, I'm Pakistani. I have no affinity. I'll say openly, I have no affinity to Pakistan. I don't relate to Pakistan, even though I go there so much. I go there 3 or 4 times a year, and I love the country. But I don't have affinity to the country. But for the first time in Kartarpur, I was actually proud of Pakistan for the first time in my life, honestly, because the beauty that I saw between the Sikh Brotherhood and the Muslim Brotherhood, it was just amazing to see. And you know, I thought it was so important. So, you know, really blessed to be involved in that. And, you know, in future work, I want to carry on and do more interfaith initiatives. I want to do more work that brings different faith groups together, because I think it's so important.
Brilliant. I really am sorry to cut you there, but we have 10 seconds left.
No,
so
not at all.
I hope you've all enjoyed, and I've seen Seth Productions saying you've been a true inspiration, and you have definitely been that inspiration. We will have you back on when Kartarpur is actually available with God's blessing.
Hope so.
See you next week. See you next Tuesday.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Here at Children of Adam, we believe water wells and hand pumps are a significant step to empower